4 clans, 1 sacred stone, and every man in the room has a blade. The Kaaba, the most revered structure in all of Arabia, has just been rebuilt. Weeks of labor, hundreds of men, and now, at the final moment, the project has collapsed into a crisis that could tear Mecca apart, because someone has to place the black stone back into the wall. And every clan in the city believes the honor belongs to them. Swords are drawn, oaths are sworn. Blood is about to be spilled inside the holiest site on the peninsula. Then a man walks in. He is 35 years old. He is not a chief. He is not a warrior. He is a merchant. And he is about to solve this with an idea so simple that it will silence every sword in the room. To understand why this moment nearly ended in bloodshed, you need to understand what the Kaaba meant to Mecca, and what Mecca meant to Arabia. By the early 7th century, Mecca was the commercial heart of Western Arabia. Its power came not from agriculture or military conquest. It came from the Kaaba. The ancient sanctuary drew pilgrims from across the peninsula every year. Tribes at war with each other declared a truce to visit it. Merchants set up markets around it. Poets competed in its shadow. The Kaaba was not just a religious site. It was the engine of Mecca's entire economy. And the people who controlled the Kaaba were the Quraysh, the dominant tribe of Mecca. But the Quraysh were not a single family. They were a constellation of rival clans, each with its own chief, its own pride, and its own claim to authority. Power in Mecca was shared uneasily among these clans. The historian Al-Azraqi, in his history of Mecca known as Akhbar Makkah, and the biographer Ibn Hisham, in his account of the Prophet's life, both record what happened when the Kaaba itself was damaged, and the crisis that followed its repair. The sources describe a flash flood that swept through the valley of Mecca, striking the Kaaba and severely weakening its ancient walls. Some accounts also mention a fire that had damaged the structure beforehand. What is clear from every version is this. By roughly 605 CE, the Kaaba was in danger of collapse. The Quraysh had no choice. It had to be torn down and rebuilt. But even beginning the demolition terrified them. This was the most sacred building in Arabia. Generations of ancestors had worshipped here. The idea of taking it apart, even to save it, felt like a violation. According to Ibn Hisham, the Quraysh hesitated for days. No one wanted to be the first to strike the wall. Finally, a man named Al-Walid ibn al-Mughira, one of the senior chiefs of the clan of Makhzum, picked up a tool and began to pull stones from the wall. The sources say the people of Mecca watched and waited, half expecting divine punishment to strike him down. When morning came and Al-Walid was unharmed, the rest joined in. Now, here is a detail that reveals how connected Mecca actually was to the wider world. A Byzantine merchant ship had recently been wrecked near the Red Sea port of Jeddah. The Quraysh purchased its timber for the reconstruction, and they hired a Coptic craftsman, a man the sources name as Bakum, to help with the carpentry, a Christian builder working on Arabia's holiest structure. Remember this, it tells you something important about the world before Islam. The rebuilding went smoothly. The clans divided the work among themselves. Weeks passed. The structure rose, and then they reached the final task, The black stone, Al-Hajar al-Aswad, had to be placed back into its position in the eastern corner of the Kaaba. This stone was ancient, revered, the single most sacred object in the entire structure, and every clan wanted the honor of lifting it into place. Now think about what honor meant in this society. In tribal Arabia, honor was not a feeling. It was currency. It was survival. A clan that placed the black stone could claim a prestige that would last for generations. A clan that was denied that honor in front of all of Mecca would carry the humiliation just as long. The dispute lasted days. According to Ibn Hisham, it stretched to 4 or 5 days, with no resolution. The clans refused to yield. The atmosphere in Mecca grew dangerous. One account, preserved in Ibn Hisham's biography, records that members of the clan of Banu Abd al-Dar made a pact with Banu Adi, dipping their hands into a bowl of blood as an oath of alliance, ready for war over this single stone. Blood oaths over a building project. That is how deep tribal pride ran in 6th century Mecca. And that is how close this city came to tearing itself apart. Then someone proposed a solution. The sources record that an elder, Abu Umayyah ibn al-Mughira, according to Ibn Hisham's account, suggested that the next man to walk through the gate of the Banu Shaybah, the main entrance to the sacred precinct, would serve as arbiter. Whatever he decided, all parties would accept. They agreed, because by that point, any solution was better than war. They waited, and the next man who walked through the gate was Muhammad ibn Abdullah. He was approximately 35 years old, a merchant, not a chief of any clan. He held no political office. He had received no revelation. That was still years away. But he had something that in Mecca was rarer than wealth or power. He had a reputation. The people of Mecca called him Al-Amin, the trustworthy. According to Ibn Hisham, when the crowd saw him enter, they said, "This is the trustworthy one. We are satisfied. This is Muhammad." Muhammad listened as the men explained the dispute. He did not deliberate for long. According to Al-Tabari's account in Ibn Hisham's biography, both drawing from earlier traditions, he asked for a single thing, a cloak. He spread the cloak on the ground. He placed the black stone in its center. Then he asked each of the main clans to send a representative. Each man would take hold of one edge of the cloth. Together, they would lift the stone to the height of the wall, and then Muhammad himself placed it into position with his own hands. That was it. No speech, no negotiation, no threats, no concessions wrung from reluctant leaders. A cloth. Now stop and think about what just happened. Not emotionally, strategically. Every clan wanted the honor. Muhammad did not deny it to anyone. He did not pick a winner, which would have created 3 losers. He did not propose a rotation, which would have created arguments about who went first. He restructured the problem. Instead of asking, who gets the honor, he made the honor shared. Every clan lifted the stone. Every clan could claim they had placed it. And by reserving the final positioning for himself, a man trusted by all sides, belonging to no faction in the dispute, he ensured that no single clan could claim superiority over the others. The historian Ibn Kathir, in his work Al-Bidayah wal-Nihaya, describes this moment as evidence of a wisdom that preceded prophethood. And the academic historian Montgomery Watt, in his study of Muhammad's early life, notes that the Black Stone episode reveals a man who already possessed an extraordinary instinct for consensus, the ability to find the solution that no one loses. Here is what most retellings of this story miss. This was not just a clever trick. This was politics. Muhammad understood something fundamental about Mecca's power structure, that the city ran on a balance of clan pride, and that balance could not be broken without breaking Mecca itself. His solution did not just prevent a fight, it preserved the system. He was 35 years old. He had no army, no title, no prophetic authority. He had only a reputation for fairness and the intelligence to see what no one else in the room could see. The Kaaba was rebuilt. The Black Stone was in place. The clans of Mecca returned to their uneasy coexistence, and Muhammad went back to his life as a merchant. But the story did not end there. The nickname they gave him, Al-Amin, the trustworthy, would follow him for the rest of his life. When he began preaching a new message years later, even his fiercest opponents never questioned his honesty. They called him misguided. They called him dangerous, but they did not call him a liar. That reputation had been built long before any revelation, in moments exactly like this one, and the Kaaba itself. The building the Quraysh reconstructed around 605 CE was smaller than the original foundation attributed to Abraham in Islamic tradition. They did not have enough untainted funds to rebuild it to its full dimensions, and so they left a section out, marking it with a low semicircular wall called the Hatim. But in 605 CE, what mattered was simpler. A city on the edge of civil war had been pulled back by a cloth, by an idea, by a man whose name meant nothing to the wider world. In approximately 605 CE, 4 clans drew swords inside the holiest site in Arabia. A building project nearly became a civil war, and a 35-year-old merchant with no title and no power solved it with a piece of cloth. That is the thing about pre-Islamic Mecca. Power did not always belong to the man with the most soldiers. Sometimes it belonged to the man that everyone trusted. And trust in a city built on rivalry was the rarest commodity of all. Muhammad would not receive his first revelation for roughly another 5 years. He did not yet know what was coming. No one did. But the world he lived in, a world of tribal pride and fragile alliances, of sacred stones and blood oaths, that world was already shaping him, and he was already, quietly, shaping it back. That is the world before the light, and we are still only beginning to see it. Next time, we go deeper. Before Muhammad, before the Kaaba dispute, there were men in Arabia who had already rejected the idols. They prayed to one God. They searched for a truth their society could not give them. Most of them never found what they were looking for. They called themselves Hanifs, and their story has almost been forgotten. If these stories matter to you, subscribe, because we are only at the beginning.